And now we are going to continue talking about lists, but this time they are nested. What is a nested list? Well, remember when I told you that list can contain any type of variables? Well, somebody thought of putting lists inside lists inside lists. So we can put lists inside lists, and that's really useful in a lot of scenarios. So if I define a list like that, I could open a large main list, and the elements are going to be lists as well. So let's say first one is 1, 2, 3. Then second one is 4, 5, 6. Can you see that? Take a look here. This is my first list, and this is my first element in the list. Okay? And this here is an element inside the list inside the list. Okay? Indexing these is going to be interesting. Why? Because this element right here has an index of 0. And this element right here has an index of 1 relative to the large list, right? Is that correct? Because we have two elements in the main list. This is index 0 and this is index 1. Now what about this if I want to access the number right here? What should I do? Well, to access that, you would need to say, I want to go to L0. This will give me access to this list when I say L0. And then if I add another bracket like this, and I say element 0 again, it means that I am accessing this one right here. See what we have done? So we need two brackets, two brackets. These two brackets will get us access to the first list. Then these two brackets will give us access to the list inside the list. Now, let's say I want to access this 4 right here. What should I do? Well, I would say L. What is the index of this element relative to this list? Well, if this is 0, this is 1, right? So this is L1. Correct? Now, what is the index of this element relative to its list? What is the index of 4 relative to its x? It's actually 0. It's the first element. Okay? Now, let us give more examples. Now, let's try this element. This element is inside this list. And this list has an index of 1, so L1. Then we go tinier. 5 is also inside this list. What is its index? The 5 relative to this list? It's 1. See what I mean? If you have questions, please write me in the comment section. Now we're going to apply this. I'm going to create a list and call it database. Okay? And it's going to be like that. A list which contains two lists. 1 here, comma, 2 here. I'm just making spaces for you to see better. Okay? The first list will contain the names, and the second list here will contain the ages of people. So this is John, and this is Mr. Hamsho. And here's the ages. Let's say 25, 29. All right? So, I want you to remember what I've talked about a few minutes ago and tell me, how can we access Mr. Hamsho right here? Pause the video for a second and think about it. First, we need to specify my list, which is database. Open a bracket. Now, Mr. Hamsho, where does it exist? Is it in which list is it? Well, as we can see, it is in list number 1. This is list number 1, and this is list number 2. Remember, list number 1, we start the indexing from 0, so the index is 0. Next. Now we go tinier. Now, within this index 0, what is the index of Mr. Hamsho? This is the list for it. This is index 0 and this is index 1, right? So 0, 1. Now if I put all of this inside a print, and run, we would get Mr. Hamsho. Great. Now, how can we access this one? Same thing. We write the name of our list, then a bracket. This is list number 2, right? Meaning, what's the index of the second list? This is 0. This is all 0. This is 1. So we have 1 here. Now we go tinier. Inside this number 1, where is my 29? Is it 0? Is it this element or this element? Where is it 29? It is index number 1, right? This is index 0, this is index 1. And that's it. Now if we print this, we would get Mr. Hamsho, first one, and 29 right here. Okay. That's really good.